who was appointed by the Commonwealth. And the then Director of Public Prosecution, a very able man, who later became Chief Justice of this country, partly conducted the prosecution until when he was elevated to the Court of Appeal, and other counsel conducted the case. The evidence was so poor that no judge would listen to it. And how can you have somebody cut into pieces and you exhibit that in court? That beats anybody's imagination. But I want to disabuse your minds that we are not men of violence. I have never been violent. I have never been violent, and I hope I will never be violent. But I also do not accept allegations made against me that are fabricated, that are misleading. The courts are here. Everyone has his day. The prosecution has a right to appeal any case. And the judges will determine the case on the strength of the evidence adduced in the lower court. That was not done. Now, I think it is a disservice to those Nigerian judges who have given excellent service to this country to really say that there was interference with them. I mean, I hear Mr. President Waifo say that you are not being judgmental, but yesterday I thought that some of the statements were judgmental. That look, you cannot say this about the judges. You cannot say that about the judges. But he sat there and said something about the judges, because that the international press was saying something about the judges, which was not right. Yes, that's not right. But he sat there and was saying something impinging on the integrity of the judges. I would have thought that that would have been appropriate to say, Mr. President, we are condemning the international press for really taking on judges in this manner. You, as the guardian, the fountain of justice in the Gambia, you ought not to make this type of statements about a judge, whose decisions you may not be happy about. For us, or for me in person, for the judge not to acquit me, was not his desire. What he wanted was for him to convict him. We have heard him say that after the execution, that look, somebody was acquitted, and this judge, if he was convicted, he would have been the first to go to the gallows. He said so on television. He said so on television. Yeah? And I did not expect that your political opponent, you really wish him to be taken to the gallows. I did go out on demonstration, and I have said in the past that I will not apply for permit to hold a meeting, because that is constitutionally guaranteed. My right to hold meetings is constitutionally guaranteed. But since the law provides that I cannot use a public address system without obtaining a permit for the use of the public address system, I always apply to the Inspector General of Police to grant me permission to use a public address system at our meetings. I don't ask for meeting. And I said I will never ask permission to hold a meeting, but I'll always ask permission to hold meetings at which I will use a public address system. Because there's a distinction using permission to use a public address system and permission to hold a meeting. And I insist on that. When we were stopped some months ago, that when we are denied permit to use a public address system, I went on with a meeting, to hold a meeting, and I was arrested. And that is why they've been using that. I said we will hold meetings without a permit. That is not true. Yeah? And, what led to my imprisonment, and again I had some chat with you outside, show my disappointment because I did tell the Director of Public Prosecution that he was misusing the law. He was putting the law into improper use. That is why in my allocutus that was never delivered, I made references to the Benthamite philosophy of maximizing the greatest happiness of the greatest number, and that the Marxist theory that the law is in the hands of the governors to be used as an instrument of oppression, and that is what is happening here. You know? One of my supporters was arrested, which the government has every right to do. If you suspected to have committed an offense, they have every right to do so. Yeah? And he was taken away, and then in detention he died. How he died, we don't know. And we went out and said, give him to us, dead or alive. That is my offense. And I went out because I know that you have authorities from the Privy Council, from the Supreme Court of Nigeria, from the Court of Appeal in Nigeria, which you are quite affair with, All Nigeria People's Party, that you do not need permission to go out to demonstrate. Justice Okeke made it quite clear. So what offense have I committed? But he has left me with the impression that this is what I said, meaning that I have gone out to break the law. And I would have thought that, at least quite somebody would say, look, Mr. President, Mr. Dabo has that right to do. Sorry. But the issue, why I'm saying this, because I have been projected as being a person who is non-compliant with the law. And that is certainly not the case. I have always been compliant with the law. If I have not been, this country would have been in chaos long ago, since 1996. I could have put this country into finance, but no. I have no second home. This is my home. The stability of this country is in my best interest. If I want to carry on with my law practice, effectively, I have to do it in an atmosphere of tranquility and stability. And I have absolutely no reason, and I have absolutely no intention of destabilizing this country. And I think this is my first opportunity. I have opportunity to make this public statement, and I hope that in future, when there is need to talk about matters affecting the opposition or the political parties, no reference is made to this, because it really hurts me. It puts me in bad light, and in bad light because I do not have the same medium that he has. GRTS should be here. You had television coverage, both television and radio. We do not have here. We do not have one here. You know? And I just want to add one or two things to me, what Mr. Salah said. Look, when the president even made that accepting the defeat, he specifically said, you've defeated me by 18,000 votes. And IEC has, in the second time, certified 18,000 votes as being his majority. So what's the problem about? And of course, they have presented a petition. You as lawyers, you know, you cannot set aside a winning candidate's election without him being a party to the proceedings. He's not a party. He's not a party. Yeah? How can you do that? And then you want to bring a court to declare those elections null and void. And the same time, in the same petition, you want to declare yourself to be the winner. These contradictions, these are legal, but then, as Mr. Salah says, we are not parties to the action, and we can never be parties to the action because the limitation period has gone. You cannot amend anything. I'm proffering that unsolicited legal advice. You cannot. Oh yes. You cannot amend, when the limitation period has passed in order to create an action. Certainly. If Mr. Barrow had been a party from the beginning, and then you now want to regularize your reliefs, maybe you can do something about that. But he's never been a party to the proceeding. It's been more than a month and a half. I don't know which judge, will really declare his elections null and void. And I think Mr. President, you probably have the opportunity to meet Mr. President again or his Attorney General and tell them that really, from the legal position, Mr. President and Mr. President-elect should work together as Gambians for a smooth transition. That is what they should do.
Mission will not have any problem on our part. And all the things you've said is precisely why you meet Gambia, a peaceful country, where you hardly recognize that there is conflict. Prior to the declaration of results, we had election campaign. And prior to the election campaign, we had many parties with diverse political programs. But because we do not have a second round of voting, we felt that if the opposition splits, then it is easy for the incumbent to have a right. We decided to come together in the spirit of national unity, in the supreme interest of the country, to have one person to stand. Because this is a country which has never changed through the ballot box. And we felt that we should make history together and facilitate that change. So throughout the campaign, what we told our electorate is that we are trying to unify a nation, unify the ethno-linguistic groups, unify the religions, unify the gender, unify everybody so that this country can have a new start. That is the ethos of the coalition. In the campaign, we told our supporters that selecting a leader who will be entrusted with the responsibility of managing our resources, our military apparatus, security apparatus, to ensure that we have progress and freedom does not require insults, does not require conflict. What it requires is sober minds capable of making informed choices. So all the predictions that the campaign will lead to violence, of course, as you know, there was no violence during our campaign. You will see the current president-elect and the incumbent having their convoys going side by side. That's what happens during the elections. So we went up to the declaration of results. And the incumbent called the person who was declared the winner and said in no uncertain terms that what happened is the verdict of the people and the verdict of God. And then said his doors are open, let him create the agenda, and there will be cooperation to facilitate a smooth transfer of power. As you said, everybody jubilated. The unexpected has happened. Gambia has made history, both the incumbent and the president-elect. And that's how we conceived it. We decided, after that, to have a liaison. And the incumbent created a liaison. He accepted that he was going to be an outgoing president and the president-elect will be the incoming president. And the liaison started working. They had an agenda to see what to tidy up, such as the release of prisoners, those who are in detention with us, to tidy up so that it will be a goodwill gesture as we move towards the inauguration. We also agreed that we'll form two teams, transition teams. The president-elect formed his team, wrote a letter to introduce the team to the incumbent. But on the day that the letter was to be handed, they said, an announcement is going to come. So wait for the announcement. And what was the announcement? I reject the elections. I've annulled it. We are going to have fresh elections under a new independent electoral commission. Those were the words. We, from the very beginning, told our electorate and everybody that the rule of law, good governance, human rights, respect for human rights, democracy, these were unnegotiable. We will consolidate it in this country. we believe